Hello, everyone, and welcome to LDM Radio Sports Talk, the show that talks about sports and other topics relatable to sports fans. Joining me this week, all the way from the windy city of Chicago, is Anthony Samaro.
What's going on?
All right, I'm excited to have you here. We have a new guest host for this week. So first off, I wanted to start the show off by saying that I went to Madison Square Garden for New York Rangers preseason games. And I just want to tell everybody who hasn't been there yet or is planning to go this season, the graphics and the in-game graphics specifically, and the ones that pop up, throughout the game, and the stat reels and things like that. Very, very impressive new production that they have over there in the Madison Square Garden. So I wanted to. I know you'll end up catching a game, I'm sure, at some point this season. And just for everybody at home who's excited and wants to, everybody's just dying to get back into these things, especially if you haven't been to any sporting events, or if hockey is your main thing. I'm excited to see what new graphics they have for the New York Knicks when their preseason schedule rolls around next week. But very, very exciting at the Garden. I think the music has been a lot better too. They have a lot more recent music. It seemed like there was more of extended variety. A lot of times, I feel like Madison Square Garden kind of catered to the older crowd, and they had a lot of older music and things like that. Things that like the 50 and 60-year-olds were jamming to, but like the younger kids were like, all right, what's going on here? So very, very excited to see as people file into the Garden. The Rangers start. They open up October 14th against the Dallas Stars. I'm excited to see what everybody's going to say about it as they go to these events. All right. So we are going to get into the American League. Right now, the pennant races are narrowing down, and the pictures, for the most part, are pretty clear on who's going to win the divisions. We have the Tampa Bay Rays, who ended up locking up the number one seed, not only clinching the American League East division, but they also clinched the number one spot for the American League in overall. So they're going to have the home field advantage all the way through up until the World Series. With a 98-60 record, so that's a franchise record for them, and they're looks like they'll be able to get 100 wins. What is your opinion on the Tampa Bay Rays?
The Rays, they never cease to amaze me. They always have the lowest payroll, and yet they're still always on top. Um, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's their drafting system is pretty good, um, but they always seem to be very competitive. I wasn't expecting it this year. I was expecting a race between the Blue Jays and the Yankees, uh, but the Rays always seems to leapfrog everybody in that division. Where they go, I'm not sure. Last year, they surprised a lot of people. So this year, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I hate to be biased, but I'm hopefully my Yankees make it past them,
Yeah,
or at least make it to the wild card.
we'll definitely get over to the Yankees and the possible scenarios a little down the road. I want to say that I've been on the show talking about the Rays and praising how good they are in a similar sentiment that you just described. It's just I don't know if it's the same scouting system that they've had for like the past 20 years, or like if it's the exact same people, or if they've like fathered like they've basically grandfathered these people in. But whatever system they've used for the past 2 decades have been absolutely fantastic. that they know what pitchers to get. They get like they basically have the $200 million pitchers before they end up earning 200 million, and then they end up trading them and then getting good returns, and they just like they have a really really great system over there for sure. So we have Tampa as the number one seed, and then the Central Division, which the Chicago White Sox have had pretty much for the past 3 months locked down. They have that clinched up, and now it's a race between the Chicago White Sox and the Houston Astros, who are currently in the lead right now for the American League West. There's only a game separating them. The Astros right now have a 1.5 game lead on them. So the scenario here is that most likely the White Sox and the Astros will face each other depending on who gets the the uh, the home field advantage. Now, Seattle's 3.5 games away from the Astros, so the Astros would basically have to lose out, and Seattle would have to win out in order from this day forward in order for them to advance. So let's just say theoretically that the Astros end up holding on. Then the Astros face the White Sox. Who do you take in that one, and what do you see happening in that? You know, what do you see happening in that series?
I see that series going a distance. Um, I see the as much as this might sound as a shocker, I see the White Sox actually pulling that series off. They got a young pitching staff. They got a bunch of hungry young guys down there that are managed by obviously a well coached person, and that is Tony La Russa. He's he's a World Series champion. He's been one with the A's. He's been one with the Cardinals. So he knows what it takes to win, and he he's got the White Sox rolling right now. Um, as far as Houston goes, uh, they have a good chance as well. However, I just don't think their bullpen will be able to hold up against the White Sox. The White Sox got a good young pen as well. So I'm picking the Sox in seven.
All right. So, very, very plausible. I mean, it does look like two evenly contested teams. And then what? Dusty Baker's in for Houston. So, like, it's basically just a matchup of like the older time managers, and it'll be an interesting chess match there. I'm sure it's not the first time they faced each other. They probably have like a Ali versus Frazier kind of thing going on over there. I'm assuming, but since they've both been around for a long time, but I'm gonna say that the Astros, even with the whole cheating scandal and everything else, like when it comes to Altuve and Correa, like they know how to hit in October. Like they've done it. Whether it be cheating or not. But then when last year when obviously they weren't cheating blatantly because they're never going to be able to get away with that again. But like they were still producing, and I think they're still a power pack. It basically in this series you're going to have the experienced Astros, mostly experienced because there's been some changeover over the years as in all sports teams, but then you have the inexperienced White Sox, whose only real heavy experience is their manager. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. And the Chicago White Sox in itself, because Tony La Russa, it seemed like training camp and the first couple of the weeks of the season, there seems to be some turbulence there between the way he does things and the way like the new age era athletes end up going about their business. There was some turbulence there, but they ended up righting the ship and following through into a Central Division championship.
Yeah, I love their chances. They're just a young, hungry club. They've been together for a while, so it's not like they just got together. They added some pieces to that puzzle, um, but they got a MVP from last year, league MVP. So they've been around for a little bit. They just are up and coming. Um, but I like how LaRusso's managing them, and I said that from the start. I said that even though they faced some controversy in the beginning with the media of the way Tony LaRusso was handling his club, however, they seemed to right that ship, and so I'm expecting them to be right in the thick of things come October. So I definitely like their chances.
Yeah, it's incredible. Usually you hear those stories and they usually just plummet downhill fast and ends up, spiraling out of control where either the manager goes or they have to, change over half the team. But, they ended up having the turbulence and then going through it and then succeeding anyway. So it's just basically that just proves how long of a season the MLB season is. 162 games. It's a long time to go through the ebbs and flows and the ups and downs. So let's talk about the AL wildcard race. So you mentioned earlier that you thought it would be the Yankees and the Blue Jays who are duking it out for the top spot. Well, they are duking it out, but it's not for the AL East supremacy. It's for the right now as it stands. The New York Yankees are in the first position of the wild cards, where if they hold on to this, they'll end up having the home game in the for the one AL wild card game. And then right now the Red Sox are sitting in second place, 89 and 69. The red hot Seattle Mariners, who have won 10 out of the last 11, put themselves in a position where they are a half game behind the Red Sox. They are actually off today. And the Toronto Blue Jays are sitting at 88 and 70, one game out. Uh, so there is a scenario here where all these teams can end up having the same record. So in that situation, I'm sure that there would have to be multiple wild card games. I'm assuming, but that I actually root for that. I want that to happen just because I think it'll be so much fun if four teams are just deadlocked with the same record. For that to happen, the Yankees would have to go 2-2. The Red Sox would have to go 3-1. Seattle and Toronto went out. So
Uh,
that would be crazy.
Let me be the first on record to tell you that's not good for my heart.
Absolutely. So let's look at the couple of different layers here. So the Yankees and Toronto play each other today. So it's going to be a pivotal game. In this past week, the series has gone. The Yankees won the first game, and Toronto won the second game. And last night's game with Toronto winning, Garrett Cole, the Yankees ace pitcher, was on the mound, and you're thinking, all right, well, this is the time to pretty much like stomp the neck of the Blue Jays and not have them have any other season aspirations. But the Blue Jays ended up getting 5 runs on them, getting up early. Yankees ended up tying the game, and then in the bottom of the eighth, Bo Bichette ended up hitting the game breaking homer that ended up winning the game. So right now we're in a situation where what happens tonight is going to prove to it's gonna weigh heavy on how the rest of this goes. But in this scenario, then we have the Rays, the Red Sox, who are playing the Orioles. So the Red Sox actually ended up losing 2 games ago before they won last night against the Orioles. So they kind of put themselves in a little bit of bouncing on the ropes over here. So how do you see everything working out, and who do you think the two teams will be heading into the wild card game on Tuesday?
Um, I I think it will be the Yankees holding on to that top spot, and that second spot will go to the Red Sox.
Well, that
Um, just looking at their schedule, I think the Red Sox got a little bit easier than I think. I'm not sure. I think Toronto. I think they square off one more time. Am I correct? I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me.
Nah, so the
Uh,
the the Yankees are going to play the Tampa Bay Rays this weekend. The Red Sox are going to play the Washington Nationals. In a very weird wrinkle to this, but I guess that's the way it has to go because there's 5 teams in each division, so somebody has to not play a division rival. The Angels are going to play uh, the Anaheim Angels, and the Toronto Blue Jays will be playing the Baltimore Orioles for the last 3 games of the season.
Okay, so yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's going to be the Red Sox and the Blue Jays fighting it out for that second wild card. Um, I think the Red Sox are going to prevail, um, and I think they will face the Yankees in that wild card matchup, and that will be the ultimate wild card because you have two rivalry teams fighting to get one spot in the playoffs. Um, we know about the rivalry between those two. Um, so I think it would be good for the ratings on TV and good for the fans.
Absolutely. So to take it a step further, so the Tampa Bay Rays, right now they have everything locked up. There's no more advantages or disadvantages that they could have. Pretty much playing out the string, playing everybody hard, playing all their starters. Playing. Like the starting pitchers having to pitch 100 pitches every outing and things like that. So, in that scenario, we're looking at, the only benefit that the Tampa Bay Rays could, if they want to just keep the foot on the gas and just play the whole season out 100%, is to try to knock out the Yankees and not to face them later. That would be the only advantage there for them. I would see as far as the way they approach this next weekend. The Red Sox are playing the Nationals, which the Nationals have nothing else to play for but to play these 3 games. So it's pretty much a toss-up on what can actually happen. Logistically, it looks like the Red Sox would be able to just clean them out, but that's why they play the games, and plausible that they could drop one of the games. Depending on how that all shakes out. So then we have Seattle and the Angels. The Angels could try to do the same thing, and they also have Otani, who's trying to get a couple of records and try to pad his AL MVP status. And then the Toronto has the Orioles, which the Orioles seem to be pesky toward the last half of the season. They have 100 losses. They're not going anywhere fast, but they've snuck a couple of wins against a couple of contenders, and they actually they actually beat the Yankees 8 times out of 19 this year, which doesn't seem, it's not over 500, but at the same time, it's, when you're, they're like 50 and 100, so they're losing 2 out of every 3 games, and they end up taking 8 games away from the Yankees. That's why the Yankees are in this spot right now, in large part because of what their inability to close out the Orioles, when in turn the Tampa Bay Rays have they beat the Orioles 18 out of 19 times. So that's pretty much your deficit right there. So we're looking at it. I'd say Toronto's in a great position to because the Orioles just give up runs and Toronto scores runs. Toronto, like their run differential is like 130 or something around that range. Like they really have a great offense there. I could see them getting in and playing the Yankees in the wild card game. Where it'll be, I don't know. And what the Rays and how the Rays end up approaching this weekend is going to determine how easy or hard it would be for the Yankees to get into this playoffs. And then whoever wins from the AL wild card game is going to face Tampa in the ALDS, the American League Division Series. So it's plausible that Tampa might want to just take care of the Yankees so that they could beat up on whoever else comes their way, or they can just rest their starters and not tip all their hands up until the American League Divisional Series comes about. But at any rate, this weekend becomes a very, very exciting weekend. Actually, it's a long weekend starting tonight because what happens tonight is going to echo into set up on how big this weekend actually becomes. But locally, though, I'd say so. I was saying last week where the 2 biggest disappointments in the MLB would be the San Diego Padres, who are they're swimming around 500 and they are nowhere close to a playoff berth. They actually got eliminated last week. So I'd say the San Diego Padres and the New York Yankees for not closing out the AL and being in this wild card race instead of being basically just closing out the AL East at this. So, what are your take? What's your take on that? And do you agree, disagree?
San Diego. That's interesting that you brought that up because I was expecting them to be a little bit more competitive. They started off actually very well in the beginning of the season, and then I believe Tatis got injured, so that kind of derailed them a little bit. But they with Machado over there and stuff like that, they were supposed to have been way more competitive. I think it was just a little bit of underachieving down there.
Absolutely. I think that they're easily the biggest disappointment in the MLB. Do you have the Yankees pegged at number two?
Yes, absolutely. The Yankees actually were picked to be in the World Series. Now, with that said, there's still a possibility,
Yeah.
so we can't write that off just yet. However, we thought it would be a little bit more easier. The path to it would be a little bit more easier than it has been. Um, the Yankees face some challenges. There's been some injuries. From the beginning, there was some holes in the lineup. Most interesting to look at is that we never had Cashman never put a left-handed bat around guys like Judge and Stanton and stuff like that to protect them in the lineup. So that made it a little bit easier on the pitchers to to get around them. Um, and it was just and it happened. And when we made that change, it happened at the deadline. And you've seen the changes that we went through when we reeled off 13 in a row.
Yep. 13 in a row, and then they lost like 10 out of 13, and then they ended up now winning 7 games in a row before losing last night. A very streaky bunch. That
Yeah,
is
it's
for
been
sure.
very up and down. So
So that's where it comes to the wild card game on Tuesday, and then the NL wild card, which we'll get to in a little bit on Wednesday. We have these situations where anything could happen, and you don't know what team's going to show up. Is the Yankee team going to show up, the one that reeled off 13 in a row against some quality teams? They beat the White Sox. They beat a couple teams in competitive teams in that 13 game streak, and then this past week when when they reeled off 7 in a row. So are we going to see those Yankees, or are we going to see the ones that were a dead fish in between? Didn't seem like could do much of anything. The Boston Red Sox. Are we going to see the Red Sox who got swept by the Yankees just this past week, or are we going to see the ones that were heavily competitive early in the season, had the division lead a little bit there, for a little while before the Rays ended up taking it over? The red hot Seattle. If Seattle ends up breaking in and making it, I mean, who's higher than them right now in the American League? So very interesting to see. And then Toronto, who could just club everybody. Basically, easily the biggest deficiency for Toronto is the pitching past Rob Ray, who's going to start tonight, and also a Cy Young candidate. So, aside from him, there's all other holes in there, and like they have the bats. If you look at the lineups and you look at Toronto's lineup from up to down, they have a lot of 300 or near 300 hitters. And then you look at the Yankees lineup up and down, they have a bunch of guys who are barely scraping 280 and below, and a bunch of guys who are swimming around the line of 200 batting average. So it'd be interesting to see how that happens and what teams are going to show up in these actual games. But that's why it's so fun, and that's why the MLB loves this stuff. And that's why us fans love it as well. So we're going to dip into the NL right now. So we have there's two divisions still up. The NL Central is locked up with the Milwaukee Brewers, who have also they've had this division locked up for like the past 3 months now, pretty much. So they are 95 and 64. We'll get to them in a second. The biggest race is the NL West, who the aforementioned it looked like it was going to be the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers duking this out 1-2, but right now the San Francisco Giants, with their franchise record 104 wins and 54 losses, they are the number one seed at the moment, 2 games up on the Los Angeles, and 2 wins and 56 losses. Defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers. So, who do you see coming out of the West as the winners here?
I see it as the San Francisco Giants will probably prevail as the division champions, and I see the Dodgers in the wild card against St. Louis. That's interesting. I don't know if there's been two teams that are fighting for a division that have over 100 wins, and one is going to be a wild card. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
interesting.
Absolutely. It's been so great. You know, the NL West, we knew it was going to be the heaviest division. We knew that it was going to be, power packed, but we didn't see it coming like this. And I mentioned it in past shows. I've almost said the same, I'm paraphrasing every week, but San Francisco Giants had a lot of stars and a lot of people sit the COVID season last year, so that helped them out. That was why they were so bad last season, and they just completely flipped the script and they got everybody back, and it's been a great run. Then they have ended up picking up Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs, who just jumped right in and just started hitting like crazy. So it's just it's a great thing they got going over there. So the San Francisco Giants they're going to play their last 3 games against the San Diego Padres, and the LA Dodgers are going to play their last 3 games against the Brewers, who are a playoff team. But then again, the Milwaukee Brewers, they can't finish anywhere else than where they are right now. They've clinched their division. They're gonna have the home field advantage in the first round against whoever comes out of the NL East. So right now we're looking at the Giants and the Dodgers, but the Dodgers are gonna they're gonna face a Brewers team that might be resting their stars. They might not be going at full throttle. There's absolutely no benefit as opposed to the Rays, who like the Rays, like they have a motivation to try to knock out the Yankees. Like there's no knocking out the Dodgers. The Dodgers are gonna they're if they end up not taking over the Giants, they're gonna host the wild card game. So you know it'll be interesting to see how that ends up shaking out. I would have to say the Giants are definitely gonna take this series, and then we'll have the wild card game, which will be the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the St. Louis Cardinals. Red hot St. Louis Cardinals. They just lost yesterday, but before that, they ended up winning 17 games in a row.
That's impressive.
17 games in a row. Absolutely impressive. So they are super red hot as a stronger version of what the Seattle Mariners are doing in the AL. But like this, the wild card went from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, to, like a 4 or 5 pace, and anything could happen. And then the St. Louis Cardinals just won. They just won. They just won. They just kept winning, and they absolutely locked. There's no or they're going to go to LA and they're going to play this wild card game, and anything could happen. Moving on to the next round. Um, the NL East, which is proving to be the NL least. um, the Braves are 85 and 72, and the Phillies are 81 and 77. They're 4.5 games out. The Braves can lock it up tonight if they end up winning, but they're pretty much going to lock it up anyway. It seems. There's
Mathematically, yes, it seems that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's, the Braves would have to lose out and the Phillies would have to win out at this point in order for the Phillies to end up making it. The Phillies are going to play the Marlins, and the Atlanta Braves are going to play the Mets to finish out the season. A couple of things. So, who is it? Devin Williams, a Brewers pitcher who is over celebratory 2 days ago. When the Brewers clinched the division, he ends up getting punching a wall, and now he's going to be out for the playoffs. And his stat line was amazing. It was like 12-3. He had like a 2 ERA. It seemed like to be a very, very impactful relief pitcher for the Brewers, and now he's going to be unavailable for however long the Brewers. Anthony?
Oh yeah. you're bouncing in and out.
Oh, sorry about that. So what's your take on Devin Williams and his craziness?
Um, that's a lack of maturity. Um, that comes, and that's why I think the Brewers are not ready yet. When you have guys that are over celebrating like that for a division, and they haven't. I mean, it's good to celebrate a division, but do it quietly. You haven't really accomplished the goal yet. Um, the goal is a World Series championship. So I think that was very immature, like to do that, and now it's probably going to cost the Brewers.
Yeah, well, what a way to get known.
Right.
um, so all right, so let's play out these scenarios here. So let's say the San Francisco Giants ended up holding on to the top spot. They're gonna face the winner of the wild card game, which could either be the Dodgers or the Cardinals. So if whatever way this shakes out, if the Dodgers end up having to go to San Francisco after winning the wild card, that's gonna be like, basically you're having like the NLCS like right there in the first division, in the first round, for two teams that have played each other 19 times already. That is amazing. So then we have Milwaukee, who's gonna face theoretically the Atlanta Braves. Who do you see coming out of that series?
I see Atlanta coming out of that series, and I see it going six.
Yeah. So that would be absolutely crazy if the wild card team is 102 plus win team going, while the Braves have 85 wins. And to put it in retro, in to put it in different terms, everybody who we mentioned, the four teams for the AL East, I mean for the AL wild card, the four teams that are going at it all have a better record than 85 and 72. All of them have over 88 wins. So a lot of times in sports, we heard it. It seems like it happens every year where there's one division that kind of cheapens everything, and it's like, oh yeah, they shouldn't be able to advance and go over all these teams. So you look at this situation. It happened, with the NFC East last year, where there was a losing team that ended up who ended up advancing to the playoffs, and then they actually had a home game with that, not even having a winning record. I feel like it happens every year, and it's just the luck of the draw, how these things end up playing out. But you have two teams that are not going to make the playoffs at all in the AL, and then you have a third team that's just going to play one game and lose, all going, all having a better record than the Atlanta Braves, who are guaranteed to have a full series to win or lose. What's your opinion on that?
That's interesting, and the NFC East is a nice comparison because that's the way it is. The way the Phillies and the Braves and the Mets and all of these guys shake up. Um, I just think I thought it was going to come down to the Phillies and the Braves, anyways. However, Atlanta pulled away a little bit at the end.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they just swept the Phillies this week.
and what shocked me most was probably the Mets because they started out strong too. They had after the deadline, they made some moves. They went over and got Javi Baez from the Cubs, so I thought that was a good move. And I thought they were going to make a little push, but they ended up fading, and so I'm not too sure what's going over there in Queens, but I thought they were going to make a little push more than they had. I didn't think they were going to fade away that fast.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, you look at it, the manager's definitely gone. Rojas, he's definitely gone. There's definitely going to be a overhaul in the way, like the managing team, and I'm sure like all the coaches and all that. Most of them will get cleaned out. Just it's the sign of the times, and the Mets are the only team that's was in first place for over 100 days, and then end up losing, having a losing record for the rest of the year. So at the end, so very very crazy times for the Mets. But I think that I've said it week after week that they've I think they're building towards a winner. This year was just not as fast as what the Mets fans and what the Mets team was hoping for. That's for sure. they had
Oh, absolutely.
definitely a big learning experience. I don't think I'm gonna say that I don't think Francisco Lindor is the guy who's like the de facto should be like the captain, the star, the face of the team. I think he's better as like in a Robin role. I think they still have to get somebody who's like bigger, a bigger than life superstar that's around $300 million. That's not Lindor. I think he has to be like coupled with somebody else, but somebody else who's able to handle that pressure and be the face and not have situations happen like they did with with the hand signal to the fan gestures, that kind of craziness. But like the Mets are gonna have the money, they're gonna want to spend. It's all about who's gonna go over there, and that'll be what they have in the off season to deal with. All right, so we're gonna switch over to the NFL. So now, it's very early in the season, only 3 games for each team. Tonight we're gonna have the winless Jacksonville Jaguars going to Cincinnati to play the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 2-1. So we're gonna start off with the NFC East. So the Dallas Cowboys picked up a big win against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday. Dallas is 2-1. Washington and Philadelphia are 1-2, and the Giants are 0-3. What is your take on that division and the local New York Giants specifically?
Um, every year, it's frustrating being a Giants fan. Obviously, um, I guess this is maybe the fifth year in a row that they started out 0-3 or something like that. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know we've had some consecutive years where we started out just rock bottom. Um, and our owner, I'm not going to say that he doesn't care. I believe he does, but it just seems like he's a little bit too patient. He rode with Gettleman. Gettleman was supposed to come in and do what he did with Carolina. He was supposed to rebuild that team and create a winning culture, and that has yet to happen. I know towards last season they strung off a few wins last season, and that's what probably brought Gettleman back because they were a little successful at the end there. But now they're right back where they started from last year. So um, they're gonna get some wins. When that comes, I don't know. Hopefully, it starts in New Orleans. Um, but they cannot afford to go 0-4 because if they go 0-4, it's going to be hard to climb out that hole.
Well, let's just say to put it out there, if there's any bright spot that an 0-3 team has, it's the New York Giants. They're the only ones that can actually do something because they are in the NFC East and they are um, in that division that's fragile. I'm not gonna say it. Depending on what if the Cowboys could do what they did to the Eagles every week, and they went toe to toe in the first week with the Kansas City Chiefs before. So it's just are they for real? Are they not? If they're not, then there's a very plausible chance that the Giants could fight and claw. And if they win their two games against Philadelphia, if they win their 2 games against the Dallas Cowboys, then they're right back in it. So there's a bit of a bright spot. I see the Giants have. They're very, very close. They had like they had 2 losses that were just heartbreaking. Last second field goal last week, and then uh, you know, very who is it? The tough catch down deep that uh, the guy didn't reel in that would have secured the game against Washington. Like it seems like the signs are there. They're just that close to to winning, and they just don't. So I'd say as far as a competitive standpoint, and as far as future goes, it seems like Daniel Jones is like playing fairly. How do you assess Daniel Jones's play?
His development is great. I think he's doing a wonderful job. To be honest with you, a lot of people would beg to differ, but he's been one of the bright spots. Um, Saquon, he's coming around a little bit. Um, I like what he's doing a little bit. We got Evan Ingram, which is I don't want to say a disaster, but it's a failed experiment so far.
Is he the
Um,
one is he the one who had the drop?
he is the one that had the drop.
Yeah, that was a tough. Well, I mean, he did make a great catch earlier in the game, but it was just that one in particular. I mean, there was nobody within 20 yards of him. It was just that was just tough to watch, and then they end up losing the game from that. I'm sure that was a big learning experience toward this season. If the Giants end up making a tight run and they end up winning these games that they should put themselves in a position to win. If they end up doing that and going on to this season that has 14 games left in it, it's possible that like that loss and that misreception would have been a turning point where you're just like, damn, like they really learned from this, and it's very plausible in this division. The division is very fragile, and if Dallas doesn't run away with it toward the half of the season, the Giants are definitely still in it at 0-3. It's so crazy to just think that, because every other 0-3 team that we're looking at the New York Jets, who absolutely have no chance of doing anything. I mean, they scored 3 points in 2 weeks. That's an average of 1.5 points a game. So that's they're going through a very very tough climb up there. You have the Detroit Lions, who are 0-3, and they just don't have. It seems like they have golf in there, and they seem somewhat competitive in those games, but not anything to hang your hat on. And then you have Jacksonville and the Colts, who are 0-3, going through their quarterback development slash deficiencies, and it's just you look at all those teams and you look at the New York Giants, and the way they've played and how close they have been to being 2-1 at this point. They got a chance. So it's still a fighting chance over there. But I think you're absolutely right. They have to win this next week, and whether they do or not, we'll find out next week how that all worked out. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, to me, this is a must win, and if it doesn't happen, then there's I don't like. I'm not a fan of mid-season changes or anything like that, but there's got to be some kind of changes.
yeah, well, I saw the story that what was it John Mara or one of the mayors ended up knocking over a bunch of trash cans. I'm not sure if that was just like a meme that was thrown around or if that was actually him. But there's the way that the New York Giants operate as an organization, they're definitely not going to take this lightly at all. So, all right, we'll pass over the rest of the NFC division. So we're looking at the NFC South right now. We have the Carolina Panthers, who are 3-0. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New Orleans Saints are 2-1, and the Falcons are 1-2. Do you see any surprises there? Do you think the Panthers are they for real? What's going on?
Um, they're one team that surprised me, the Panthers. I didn't think they were going to start off as strong like that. I expected Tampa Bay to, that's where I expected Tampa Bay to be. But the Panthers surprised me. They shocked me. Um, they're a good team. They seem like they're well coached now, and then they put it all together, and their running back is pretty good too. So I
Yeah,
think
he
his name is
actually
Christian McCarthy or something like that.
Yeah, he ended up getting hurt last week, so I believe he's out for Sunday, and then depending on how long he's out, which seems to be the biggest deficiency of his game is health. It seems like he's always kind of hurt or banged up at some point throughout the season. Can't play a full season. So depending on how long he's out is going to change the whole complexion of what the Carolina Panthers could do. Carolina's playing Dallas this week. I think that'll be a fun matchup. And then we have the Buccaneers, where Tom Brady is going back to New England to play Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots in Foxborough. So what do you think about that?
Oh, that's gonna be the game of all time, man.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a game that
Hmm.
if you're not a fan of any team or if you're just it's going to be the Sunday night game, so it's the national de facto game, and you got to watch it no matter what. You hate them, you love them, whatever it is. I mean that's going to be an epic battle.
As much as I'm not a Tom Brady fan at all, being a Giants fan, obviously, but you got to give that man his credit. He's doing this at the age of what, 42.
Yeah,
Not so many quarterbacks can make it past 38 or 39.
nah,
And this guy keeps on. He's like an Energizer bunny. So um, it's to be determined if he can win another Super Bowl. But so far, he's like the GOAT, man. Yeah, I mean you can't deny that.
absolutely. So this will be his opportunity. If he beats the New England Patriots, then he will have beaten every team. Um, in the NFL, and I'm excited to see that. And just the way it was unceremoniously, Tom Brady was pretty much exiled from New England. Seemed like he was just kind of like dusted off to the side, like, all right, well, the system beats you, and we don't need you here, whatever. And then Tom Brady's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go to this other random team, and then end up winning a Super Bowl, which he did. So now he's taking that random team, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and going right up into Foxborough. So I'm gonna say I'm rooting for the Bucks just because I just hope like I think that would be the cherry on top for this amazing story that Tom Brady has been able to write and then rewrite at the end of his career. It's just amazing.
Is it really the end though?
Well, that they play. That this is one of those like you play a team every 4 years scenarios. So that this would be the one and only time that he'd be able to play New England, unless they both meet up in the Super Bowl, which is not very likely. New England's end, but this would theoretically be his one and only time to beat New England and to put that notch on his belt, and then just have beaten every single team in the NFL.
And I think he will. I'm picking Tampa Bay to win that game. And you also have a few of New England's former players back. I think Gronk is back too, right?
Yeah, Gronk is he didn't practice yesterday. He's having a bit of a rib issue. I can't imagine it would be enough for him not to make this game. I'm pretty sure if he had a broken leg, he'd try to make the game. I mean, he's got to play in that game. There's no way I could think that he's not going to play in this game. So yeah, you have Gronk in there. You have a couple other guys scattered around, but this is basically Tom Brady. This is going to be the Tom Brady show going into New England, and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for Sunday night. I'm going to watch. I'm definitely. I don't know what I'm doing Sunday night, but I'm definitely going to be near TV watching this game for sure. All right, so let's. We got a couple minutes in the show. We got to breeze through this. So, the NFC North, we have the Green Bay Packers, who have gotten their niche together, and they are 2-1. The Bears and the Vikings are 1-2, and the Lions are 0-3. Any surprises? Quick thoughts on those?
Um, the Bears. Only because I'm from Chicago, I know a little bit more what's going on in that division because I see it every day in the media.
Okay.
They with Fields, I think they're doing it right by starting him. What's going on there? I'm not sure. They're a little dysfunctional. Let's put it that way. I know Matt Nagy. He's been getting some. He's been taking some heat because of the play calling down there, and his conservative style. So what I've been hearing in the media is if they don't win this game against the Lions, that he will be out as coach of the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I know a couple of Bears fans, and they just nobody seems to like Nagy, and he just continuously plays. It's continuously run out there season to season. So it'd be interesting to see how that unfolds. I could easily see them making a change, if not mid-season, which is very hard for the NFL to do. Definitely at the end of the season. And try to right that ship. Actually, preseason wise, preseason picks, they were my sleeper to win the division. That's not very looking very good right now. We look at the NFC West. We got the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals, who are both 3-0. 49ers that are 2-1, and Seattle that is 1-2.
Um, as far as that, I like the Rams coming out of the on top of that division. Although that's a competitive division as well. Um, so it's tough to pick, but I'm definitely picking the Rams to come out that division. Uh, and I think coming in the second, close second, I think Seattle would be right there as well.
Yeah, I thought so too. And then they've had a couple of clunkers. Seattle has, but the great job for the Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford, who's has a change of scenery and is looking all the studly that he was predicted to be as a number one pick, and not playing in a dysfunctional franchise, which is the Detroit Lions. He's definitely coming into his own and taking it to the next level. We'll look over. We'll do a quick overview. The AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are 2-1. Dolphins and New England are 1-2. The Jets are 0-3. Any surprises there?
No, it's actually shaping up the way I expected it to be. I expected it to be the Bills and the Dolphins fighting it out for that division. I thought the Jets would be a little bit more competitive than they are. I didn't expect them to be this bad, but they are there. They're there.
Yeah, easily,
Um,
easily the worst team in the league, which is awful. It hurts my heart, but it's the absolute truth. They are not getting anything going, and they have their star, the defensive player Marcus May, safety, is going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks. So it's gonna get even worse now.
wow, that's not good.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely see Bills and Dolphins duking this out all the way to the end. Uh, AFC North, we got the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Browns all 2-1, and the Steelers are 1-2.
that's another. That's a division that's a little bit more hard to pick. Because they are all playing good. I mean, the Steelers obviously had a couple of clunkers there, but as I know, always at the end, the Steelers are right there in the mix of things.
Yeah, they
Um,
have not been the same after that 11-0 streak that they started off the season with last year. It's
oh,
amazing.
I agree. I agree. But when it comes down to it, I think the Bengals are going to fade, and I think the Browns are going to fade. So what I think is what's going to happen is my prediction is the Ravens are going to win that division, and the Steelers are going to be they're going to be right behind them, chasing them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this, after years and years and years of losing, it seems like the Browns and the Bengals have arrived. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all shakes out. I think Joe Burrow is the real deal. As far as Baker Mayfield seems to be the bigger name and showing up in all the commercials and things like that. But Joe Burrow, man, he is the truth, and it seems like the as long as he can stay healthy, the Bengals are going to be into it right in the end. Then we have the AFC South. We have Tennessee Titans at 2-1, Texans at 1-2, Jacksonville and Colts at 0-3.
That's another unpredictable division. But my pick is the Titans to come out of that division.
I'm gonna
Um,
say this is the new NFC least. I think
yeah, I
it's the new
agree.
NFC.
I
It's gonna
agree.
be
It's
this
just
year's
so hard to
version of
pick a
the.
team out of there.
Yeah, because the Titans that they've done well, not super impressive. They've done well though, especially battling the COVID issues that they had early in the season. I mean, they're just gonna run away with this, and it's not even gonna be close.
It amazes me how far the Texans have fallen because they used to be the team to run away with that division.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was never super sold on Ryan Tannehill being the guy, the number one de facto guy, and like the star with all the millions. But like well, let's see. They have to go back to what worked for them in their miraculous playoff run a couple years ago. If they could do that, then they'll be in good shape. But at the same time, everybody's got the book on them on what they're gonna do. So um, I think they're gonna fade away. I don't think their window is as big as the aforementioned Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns. That's for sure.
I
Uh,
agree.
then
Agree.
we have the strongest division in the AFC, which is the AFC West. The Raiders and the Denver Broncos are both 3-0, surprisingly, and the San Diego Chargers are 2-1, and the Chiefs are 1-2. The Chiefs are a botched punt away from being 0-3.
Yeah, that's surprising. Coming off of what they just did, and what they won and what they accomplished the year before that, it's it's it, it's amazing how they are now trailing in the division. However, I'm gonna say this: I think they will be at the end in the mix of things. I don't think they're gonna fade away that quick. Whether it be either they somehow miraculously leapfrog and win the division, or they playing the wild card. But they will be in the mix, believe me.
I'd have to agree. I mean, Denver's got their 3 wins against against 3 teams that do not have a win yet. They've beaten 3 0-3 teams at this point. So you see Denver probably is going to fade away. The Raiders look like the real deal with David Carr up in there. Basically, they're great offensively, have a very solid defense. It looks like in this division, especially